Hello, good evening, everybody. I'll give everyone just a minute to join. Hi, Marissa. Thanks for joining. I'll give another minute or so for people to get signed on. I'm just going to work on my setup here. Hi, Oscar. Hope the kids are okay. So all you need is a mat for this class. So you can see I've got my mat back here. I also tend to keep a yoga block nearby, but it's not required. And I also use a small cushion. There are fancy yoga cushions, but this is just a house cushion for when we do our breathing at the start, just because it makes me comfortable, but again, not required. Okay, so we'll get started in just another moment. It's windy, it might blow my mat away. I'm just checking to make sure I've got a good angle here. Kind of windy, like there's a storm brewing. I think it passed by, so we'll get by without rain. So hi everyone. Hi Celeste, thanks for joining. Hi Dawn. Great to see everyone. Okay, so if this is your first time to yoga or you're new to yoga, you are in the right place. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you made the decision to be here. In this class, I'm gonna take it as slow as I can. I can't see you, it's not a Zoom call. You can see me, but I'm gonna do the best I can to break it down as we go through it. If you're a more advanced yogi or you're quickly looking to advance to the next level, you can join me on my Saturday class. Hi Rebecca, join me on Saturday. That's my, what I call intermediate level. It's designed for people who have some introduction to yoga, or they're a little bit more athletically advanced already, or they're just looking to take it to the next level. So, but either way, if you're advanced and you're here, you know how to advance the practice. I trust that. And if you're brand new or you're just getting started, you're in the right place too. We're gonna make this work. Okay. All right, so let's start out with our breathing technique. I always start out with breathing at the very beginning, called pranayama. This is gonna help us relax into our practice. And the purpose of breathing is because it helps keep our focus in class. I'm outdoors. A train will pass by, most likely. It does sometimes around this time at night. It'll be loud. Kids are playing in the park, or maybe a neighbor's gonna mow their yard, or maybe you have some distraction in your home, in your studio. So our breathing is what helps us keep our focus. Even if you have a perfectly quiet practice, look, my mat's blowing away. If you have a perfectly quiet room that you're in, the mind has its own way of distracting itself. So if you catch yourself doing that, this is where our breath comes into play. So we're gonna start out in easy pose. That means we're sitting almost like crisscross applesauce on the mat. Let me make sure I can see it here. Oh, this might be a problem, this wind. It's not my friend today. Actually, it's hot and sweaty here, so I am more than happy to have the breeze. Okay, so I'm sitting on this cushion about halfway. I'm actually gonna sit on my block today. It lifts my hips up. It's more comfortable. Excuse me. This is now your kind of crisscross. One leg is just slightly in front of the other. Our hands go here on our knees. And I'm gonna close my eyes. You guys, if you're watching me, you're watching with closed eyes. You're more than welcome to close your eyes as well to help you relax. You're not gonna fall over, or if you do, you're close to the ground. And you're just gonna try to relax here. If this is totally uncomfortable, just lay down. Get in whatever position is comfortable for you. Your rib cage is right on top of your hip, but lifted out of your hips. And then your shoulders are right on top of your rib cage, but lifted out of the rib cage. So you've got this nice straight back, and your body stacked on top of the sits bones. Your shoulders are rolled down away from your ears, slightly rolling back, opening up the shoulders. And the head is looking straight forward. You might even have a slight, ever so slight chin tuck So then if you can imagine the back of your spine is perfectly straight from your tailbone, or as straight as possible from your tailbone to the tip of your head. That's your comfortable position here. So we're just going to take some deep inhales and exhales. We're breathing through the nose and out through the nose. You may not be able to hear me. I'm going to get a little bit closer so maybe you can hear me. You guys keep breathing. I'm going to breathe into the mic here so you can hear it. But this is what your yoga breathing sounds like. Good. That sound is coming from the middle of your throat rather than from just your nose. It's called your Ujjayi sound, and that's what keeps you focused in your practice. So try that again. Good. With every inhale, you're filling up the belly, then the rib cage, then the lungs, and then as you exhale, it leaves the belly, then the ribs come down, then it comes out your lungs. Trying that again, breathing in. Good. Exhaling, starting with the belly. Try that again. Exhaling. Good. And I'm going to sit back on my mat and just take a couple more rotations or cycles of that breath. The breathing helps calm the nervous system to help you further relax. As you continue your breathing on your own, I'd like to ask that you set an intention for your practice. Maybe you're a little stressed out today, had a long day of work, even if it was from home, or maybe you're an essential worker and you're out and about. But I had someone unfortunately pass due to complications related to COVID-19. So if you don't have an intention for yourself, I'd love for you to borrow mine, and that intention is to do this practice and dedicate this practice to those who can't be here with us physically today. Wherever you are, you've made the decision to be here and be present. Thank yourself for that. No matter what state you're in the perfect state for the practice that we're about to do. And for those of us who cannot join us for whatever reason, maybe you dedicate your practice for them. One more deep inhale. And exhale it out with your Ujjayi sound. Wonderful. Feel free to keep your eyes closed. We're just going to warm up slow here. What we'll do is we'll inhale and bring our hands over our head. And then on the exhale, you're going to begin to twist to one side. And one hand comes down behind your back. Other hand comes to your knee, to your opposite knee, opposite arm. Using that hand on the knee to turn around to the back. Neck looks over the back shoulder. Good. On the inhale, arms come to center, arms overhead. On the exhale, twisting to the other side, opposite arm, opposite knee. Arm becomes behind your back. With every exhale, turning a little bit more. Good. On the inhale, arms come to center. On the exhale, lean over to one side. I'm going to brace my arm underneath me with one arm and then stretch the other one overhead, keeping both sits bones on the ground, feeling a nice stretch through the lifted side body. My head is turned up to the ceiling or the sky. Ooh, there went that wind. On the inhale, coming back to center, raising both arms. On the exhale, the other arm now comes down to the mat. And the other one lifts overhead for a side stretch. Lifting that chin and the vision or the view up to the sky if you can. If it's too painful on the neck, you can always keep a neutral spine. With each exhale, reaching a little bit more, sinking a little bit more down into that arm. Nice. Inhaling, arms come back to center. Exhale, hands come down on the hands. On the next inhale, begin to open up the chest, lifting up slightly with the head, breathing in. On the exhale, relaxing, bending out the top of the back. Good. Inhale, lifting the chest, those shoulders, elbows go back. Exhale, relaxing down into cat, rounding out the spine. Inhaling, this is seated cat-cow. So inhaling into cow as we kind of arch the spine a bit. Exhaling into cat. Nice job. And then on your next inhale and exhales, just take a couple full circles with this rib cage. Side to side, rounding and stretching. Good, and be sure to go the other way as well. Inhaling and exhaling. Very nice. We've twisted the spine, we've bent the spine, we've extended it and flexed it. I think we are ready to move on. So with that, let's crawl on over, rotate over to all fours. And we're going to stretch out our wrists. So I'm on all fours here, my shoulders are stacked over my hands. I'm going to rotate my hands out like that. Pinkies are on the inside and they're pointing to my knees. You can stay with shoulders stacked over wrists, or you can even lean back a little bit. That stretches out your forearms more. A couple different ways you can do this. Good. Now flip those hands so the top of the hands come on the mat and the thumbs are facing inwards. Good. Now put the palms flat on the mat, fingers facing forward. Whenever our palms are on the mat, you want your two peace fingers, so middle finger and index finger pointing up. You don't want them rotated too much out as you begin to bear weight on your hands. So get those palms down to the ground and maybe just do a couple circles over your wrists. So my body's making circles here. Just feeling what it's like to put pressure into the hands. And while I'm down here, I'm gripping the mat like Spider-Man. So what that means is my hands are kind of like doing that. Just using my fingers, that when I do that, it engages the upper arm and takes some of the pressure off the wrist. Good, so hopefully the wrists are stretched up there. Come on up to kneeling so my hips are lifted up off of my heels. Bring those arms behind your back and do a spinal stretch. I'll show you from the side. I move around a lot on my mat just so that you guys can see me, but you guys can generally stay in one direction. So here I'm not pushing my hips forward with my hands. I'm actually just bracing and using it to lift and curve a little bit more. Good. So sit back on those heels. I'm actually going to twirl my toes under and then sit on the heels. It stretches the bottom of the foot. And then wrap those arms behind your back. It's almost like you're crossing them behind your back. I'll show you again. Or for a deeper stretch, clasp the arms. In order to clasp the arms, you're going to need to rotate those shoulders back. So take whichever one of these works for the current state of your shoulders. Good. Sitting back on those heels, but I'm not collapsing into it. I'm holding my tummy in, but we are stretching out the fascia underneath those feet. Awesome. And last preparation for our spine is to come down into child's pose. That means our hands go in front of us. But instead of shifting my weight all the way back to my heels, I'm going to keep my spine straight. So see how my hips are lifted off my heels? And I'm going to stretch my hands the opposite direction. The goal here, rather than just sitting all the way back and collapsing into child's pose, is to lengthen my spine. So my hands are pulling my spine one way, my hips are pulling it the other. My forehead's going to go down to the mat so I get neutral. And then I'm just going to stretch the spine, trying to create extra space between every vertebra. Keep that nice neutral spine. Stretching out. Awesome. Come on up to all fours, into tabletop. Hopefully you have now officially lengthened the spine as best you can. So we're going to do a couple of bird dogs here. So the way we do that is you're going to lift one arm and then lift one leg. So I'm opposite arm, opposite leg here. Good. And on the inhale, I'm going to take a lift, almost like I'm doing cow. And on the exhale, you're going to pull it in so that the elbow reaches the knee and I round the back. Good. Do one more here, or maybe two more. Reach and lift. Exhale as we round out the back, bringing elbow to knee. Good. Extend and lift. Exhale, round out the spine. Good. Inhale, lift and extend. We're not done here. I want you to bring on the exhale the leg out to the side, the arm out to the side. So I'm opposite arm, opposite leg. Good. Inhaling back to center. Exhale, let's do that again. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Nice. You can also do just the leg and put the arm down if that helps. We'll do it one more time. I'll show you that. Good. Nice. Now place that knee back down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the other leg and open up into modified side plank. So I've opened up now into modified side plank. My arm is reaching over my head. My foot's on the ground still. Check this base shoulder. Make sure that it's nice and straight. Good. And now lift that leg and reach fingertip to toe tip as long as you can. Good. And my hand is going to come on my hip. My lifted arm is coming on my hip. And I'm going to bend that leg. I'm just going to do a couple of hip openers here. No right or wrong way to do this, just as long as you're keeping lifted through that base shoulder. Nice. Okay, last thing, extend the arm and the leg and see if you can do a couple of V touches here. So my leg is now lifted up, so I'm rotated it up, and I'm just kind of moving into a bit of a crunch here. Give me one more after this. Good. One more final extension. Extend with that base shoulder. You probably collapsed a little bit. So if you were to see the back of me, you'll see it in a minute when I turn around. My shoulder blades are starting to touch. That's how I know I've got an open chest. Awesome. Bring that hand back down and the leg back down. So this time, whatever leg was just my base, that's going to be the one that lifts now behind me. And then the opposite arm goes in front, and you're extended it into our bird dog, opposite arm, opposite leg. Inhale, taking a lift. Exhale, knee comes to elbow, rounding out the spine. Good. Inhaling, lift. Exhale, bringing it in, knee to elbow. Inhaling, lift. Exhale, bringing knee to elbow. This time as you extend, bring opposite arm, opposite leg. Leg comes to the side, arm comes to the side. Good. Exhaling back out. And just do a couple movements here. Inhale. On your exhale, coming back out. One more. I can feel it a lot on my base arm and my side glutes. Wow. Good. That hand comes down. The leg pretty much stays lifted because we're going to open up. This time I'm going to open up to the back. And also watch this base leg. It kind of pivots out. That gives me more balance. Now I'm opening up to the back. Modified side plank. Hand comes to hip here. Bend the top leg and just do a couple of circles. Good. Now extend arm overhead. Extend the leg and do a couple of V-ups. See if you can lift that leg. Alternate modifications to do with a bent knee. 2 ways to do this, probably more. Nice. So bring those hands back down. Leg comes back into tabletop. Good. So you're here in tabletop, and I should have done this first, but we're going to do it now. But these are our scapular push-ups. We're keeping our arms straight, and all we're doing is letting our shoulder blades touch in the back by kind of relaxing into the shoulder and then protracting the shoulder blades into kind of a cat, and the shoulder blades come away from each other. So up and down. Do about 3 more of these. Get that mobility in the shoulder blades. We're going to need it. Awesome. From here, you will begin to come forward and send those hips forward, and the shoulders now go beyond the wrists. Good. Come on back. We're going to do that one more time. Send the hips forward. Good. And then come on down to your belly. Nice. And then bring the elbows out in front of you or your elbows underneath you so you can come up and lift your chest into Sphinx pose. Awesome pose. I do this several times a day just to help my lower back. Helps with lower back disc issues if that's your thing. Otherwise, just kind of relax into this. Awesome. On your exhale, belly or chest comes all the way to the mat. Hands come behind you. And so my palms are facing down and they're about at my thighs. On the inhale, I'm going to lift and engage the entire body. So my glutes engage, lifting up my legs. Chest comes off the mat. Arms come up off the mat. Head is neutral for a straight spine for locust pose. Whole body's engaged here, so my shoulder blades are rolled back, nearly touching, and those legs are squeezing together like I had a ball between them. And from here, let's do 5 arm lifts. So we're just, again, working the back of the body here. So I'm just kind of lifting my arms behind me. Maybe one more. You're breathing through all of this, and on your exhale, you're coming down to the mat. Good. Nice. Hands come to your rib cage, so fingers pointing forward. My shoulder blades again are kind of back and squeezing, and my elbows are pointing to the sky. We are getting ready for half cobra. So on the inhale, we squeeze the glutes, but legs stay on the ground. The only thing that lifts is my shoulders and my chest. So this is cobra. If I move my hands, my chest still stays lifted, but feel free to keep the hands on the ground for support. One more inhale, the body lifts just a bit. Exhale all the way down to the mat. We're going to do that again, this time lifting all the way up, if you're ready, into up dog. But the way we do that is by inhaling, peeling the body off of the ground. Everything comes off the ground, including the full navel, hips, and thighs. Only thing on the ground are my hands and my feet. Alternative is to stay into low cobra. Good. One more inhale. I'm squeezing the glutes to take the pressure off the lower spine. On the exhale, dropping the knees, moving here into tabletop. Curl those toes under and push the hips high into the sky, making a V with the body. This is down dog. Awesome job. We made it to down dog. So I am pushing the floor away from me so that my weight is shifting to the feet. You want the weight in the feet here in down dog. Take a couple scapular push-ups here. You can do it. Just practice kind of relaxing the shoulders and then pushing. Same mobility applies here in down dog. Good. Pedal out the feet, stretching out the back hamstrings, the calf muscles. In a perfect yoga world, your heels are touching the mat, but if you're not there, that is okay. I bet by the end of practice, they'll be a little bit more loose and your heels might be closer to the ground. Good. This time on your inhale, lift up your toes so your hips go higher into the ceiling. Exhaling them down. Lifting one more time, way up high on those toes. And then just round the back out and roll over into tabletop. Good. From here, we'll do a couple of push-ups. We warmed up earlier, so we sent the hips forward, shoulders go beyond the wrists, and then we bend the arms. The arms come and touch the side body. The elbows touch the side body, and we come back up. Good, let's do that again. The elbows, the front of the elbow, this meaty part here is pointing forward, so make sure you kind of rotate there. Okay, so we begin to bend, elbows touch the side body on the exhale. Good. Back up. Let's do that one more time. Shoulders go beyond, so I'm leaning beyond, and then they bend, 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 touching, squeezing the body. I'm holding it here, halfway down. Good. On the exhale, all the way down to the belly. Take a quick breather here, maybe roll out your feet side to side. We're going to do that sequence again. So on the inhale, you can go into up dog or stay down in cobra, half cobra. So exhale everything out. Inhale into half cobra or all the way into up dog. Good. On the exhale, rolling to tabletop and then eventually pushing back into downward dog. Nice. From here, walk your heels together so that now your heels, your ankles and toes are touching, and you're going to lift one leg. Now when you lift one leg, it probably won't lift very high. Why? Because you want that hip to stay down towards the mat. So we're not opening up this way yet, we're keeping the hip down. So that lifted foot is pointing down to the, you can't see it on the camera, but there you go, it's pointing down to the ground. Awesome, put that foot down. I'll move forward a little bit, maybe you can see it. Lift the other leg now. This is three-legged dog. So I'm in the down dog position. Take this moment to shift the weight back in case it crept forward over your hands. This also helps get that heel, the base heel, closer to the ground. Great, put that heel down, both legs are down. Take another breath here in down dog. Raise up on those toes, sending the hips up high, and now roll over into your plank. Good, so if you know you have your down dog in the right position, when you go straight from down dog, you roll over and you're perfectly in plank. That's a good distance. If you find yourself leaning too far over, your down dog might be too close. Like if you're like this, you can't roll out, right? So that's gonna help you get the right spacing in your down dog. Okay, so we're in plank. You can put your knees down and you can do the half push-up, or you do full chaturanga. Full chaturanga is bending the elbows by the side, down to about 90 degrees. Good. And then on the inhale, you go straight into up dog or belly comes down for cobra. Right. Now, on the exhale, lifting the hips back to down dog or also passing through tabletop. Nice. We're going to do that one more time. Inhaling into plank or knees come down into tabletop. I'll do the modification this time. Exhaling, down half push-up. Inhaling up dog or cobra. This is cobra. And then exhaling back into down dog or tabletop. Then pushing back. Wonderful. Okay, knees come to the ground. We're all here in tabletop. I'm going to grab a water. Let's do a water asana before we move on. It is hot out here. Thank God, thank goodness for this little bit of a breeze. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing okay? Hope you're keeping up. All right. So that's half of our sun salutation, half of Surya Namaskar. So now what we're going to do, you can come up on your knees and bring one leg forward, and we're going to do a very gentle forward stretch here. Okay, so I get it. Some of you are flexible. You can probably just sink way down into this pose and hyper stretch. But if you actually stay here, let's lift the arms overhead. You really just focus on opening up this back, the front of this back leg. That's your hip flexor. If you sit and work a lot, if you work and sit or drive a lot in the day, you desperately want to open this up because it sits cramped all day closed like that, right? And we are opening it up. Good, so exhale, both hands come down to the mat. And from here, I'm going to lift my arm, the same arm as the leg that's in front. So I'm doing a half twist here, or just a twist here. The twist comes from the rib cage, not the lower back. So I'm going to use this base arm. I'm going to push the floor away and I get that extra twist. You can also straighten the leg for low lunge twists. Take your pick. Good, hand comes down to the mat. Send that front leg to the back. Bring the other one forward. And we're going to come up on into the middle of our legs here into this low lunge. And every time your arms come up, just make sure you exhale and your shoulders come back down so you're not stressing out the body by lifting the shoulders up by the ears. And catch your breath here. Hands come down to the mat. And then one arm lifts up to the sky. Option to straighten the base leg if you'd like. Otherwise, the knee can stay down. Using the base arm to open up the shoulders, open up the ribs towards the sky. Good, hands come down to the mat. Now uncurl your toes behind you and lift those hips so that you can bring the back leg to meet the front leg. And now you're in forward fold, Uttanasana. In our forward fold, check it out here. My belly is resting on my thighs. I'm not even straightening the legs. We'll get to the hamstrings later. For now, I'm going to take another opportunity to stretch out the spine. So the way I do that is by letting gravity just pull everything down to the ground.
So it's okay to have your leg bent here. It supports the lower back. That way you can let gravity just pull the rest of the spine down. Shake your head no. Shake your head yes. That's if you can shake your head, that's how you know that your neck is really relaxed. Good. And as you inhale, use your hands and walk them up your legs. Slowly articulating the spine one at a time so that eventually you're coming up to mountain pose or Tadasana. Whew, first time standing up. Good. Take it slow there. Make sure you don't get too dizzy as you come up from the mat. And from here, our Tadasana mountain pose, it's really easy but also very empowering. You want your weight centered from toe to heel and from side to side. Shoulders are down, slightly back. Palms are generally facing forward, so we have this nice external rotation of the shoulders. Good. On your inhale, lift the arms over the head, and then begin to come up on your toes, so balancing on your toes. Good. Squeeze the glutes. That will help with your balance. Try to squeeze the ankles together. Mine aren't perfectly touching, but I'm kind of squeezing them together to help center the body. Keep breathing here. And remember to relax your shoulders down in case they've crept up by your ears. Relax them down. Good. Take one more inhale. And take an exhale. Heels come to the mat and keep sinking down now into chair pose Utkatasana. So take a peek down at your toes. Make sure you can see them. If you can't see your toes, it probably means your knees are too far forward. So sit back. It's called chair pose for a reason. But it's like you're sitting in a chair behind you. That's where you want your hips to go. With every exhale, you're sinking a little bit lower, always checking in on your toes below you. Option to take your hands into prayer pose here as well if your shoulders are really screaming at you. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, you're going to roll down back into that forward fold. So my tummy immediately hit my thighs here. It just feels better to me. And then maybe this time you begin to straighten your legs as long as your tummy is still reaching your thighs. But I'm straightening a little bit more, sending those hips straight up to the sky. So I begin to stretch into the back side of the legs. Good. On your inhale, hands come to the ground or on your shins, and you straighten out the spine. So I'm looking straight down to keep my spine neutral. Fingertips can either touch the ground or they can also rest on your shins. Goal here is to lengthen the spine for a quick inhale. And then we exhale right back down to that forward fold. On the inhale, stepping back into a lunge. So I'm stepping back towards the end of my mat. Other leg goes to meet it, and I'm in plank. You can stay here and prepare for chaturanga, that's your half push-up, or knees come to the mat. I'll start with the modification first. So my knees come to the mat. On the exhale, I send my shoulders forward and my arms begin to hug my side body, 90 degrees here. On the inhale, right into cobra or into up dog. You know this part. Exhale, rolling back into tabletop or right back into down dog. Awesome. Push back here. Push the floor away from you, sending the weight to the back of the heels. On the inhale, one leg comes forward, probably the one you were in first. Other leg comes to meet it in an exhale, downward, or forward fold rather. Inhale, half lift, hands on the mat or hands on the shins, head looking down, exhaling into forward fold. Inhaling all the way up, rolling slowly, arms come up overhead, extended Tadasana, exhale, down to center. Okay, that's one Surya Namaskar, one Sun Salutation. Let's do that again on the other leg. Other leg just means step back and step forward with the other leg. Here we go. Arms come overhead on the inhale. On the exhale, sink into chair. Take a peek down, check that you can see your toes. On the exhale, sink a little bit lower. Good. On the inhale, take a slight lift, but then exhale down into that forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Hands are on the floor or the shins. Exhale down to forward fold. Inhale, other leg steps back, this time into lunge, but the front leg comes to meet it very quickly in plank. On the exhale, Knees come down for tabletop or half push-up chaturanga. On your exhale, inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, tabletop or straight through to downward dog. Good. Inhale, leg steps forward into lunge. Exhale, other leg meets it, down and forward fold. Inhale, half lift up, lengthening the spine. Exhale, down to the mat. Inhale, rolling up. Arms overhead. Good. On your exhale here, take a cactus arms and cactus arms. It looks like this. I'm just going to do a little bit of a back bend here. Inhale, arms up. And then let's finish it out here in mountain pose. Awesome job. That was your sun salutation. Okay, the train's coming. I can hear it. We're going to push through the train. It's going to be maybe a little bit loud. Hopefully it won't disrupt us too much. So take a water break. But what I'm going to do is as the train passes, we're going to do some balancing poses to kind of help us open up our hips just a little bit. So I want you to start in Tadasana, and then you're just going to simply lift one leg. So I've shifted my weight to my base leg, lifting the other. Grab that kind of knee or shin with both legs, holding it here. Good. It helps if you stare at something that's not moving. So you don't have to look at the phone while I do this. I'll explain what's going on. So you're just lifting one leg here, kind of pulling the shin or pulling the thigh closer to the belly, but mine's not really touching. I'm going to do some circles with my foot, the lifted foot. Just roll it out. Good. And then I'm going to release the leg. I'm going to put the hand on the knee and then open it up and push the knee away. Oh, immediately lost my balance there. So now I'm just opening up the hip. Maybe you counterbalance by putting the opposite arm out to the side. Good. Nice job. Bring that knee to the front, and then you can set that foot down. Same thing on the other leg. So I'm going to shift my weight, lift my knee up, grabbing the below the knee, the shin, with both hands, kind of interlacing my hands there. Circle that foot around, circle the foot around. Opposite direction. Good. Releasing the leg, pressing that knee out to the side. So nice open hip here. Awesome. Bring that leg in. You made it through the train. It's passed by now, but the intersection's right there, so it just blares. Okay, so we're done with our balancing poses. We're going to move on to some other, so a couple more sequences here. Okay, so back at the top of my mat, we're going to start out with chair pose. So I'm in my Tadasana, nice powerful starting pose. Weight is evenly distributed, balanced between heels and toes, side to side. Arms come up overhead on the inhale. On the exhale, they come into a chair. So we've done chair before. This should feel familiar. Utkatasana is the Sanskrit word. So holding it here. Arms can also come out a little bit wider if your shoulders are really screaming at you. Good. Now on the inhale, I'm going to lift the leg almost like we did in that balancing pose. So I'm lifting one leg, take your pick which one it is, and then now swing it around and send it behind you. So it's behind me and it's now off the mat. And I'm in a curtsy, so I'm just going to bend down. I'm going to turn around and show you what that looks like front to front. So my leg just went down and I'm in curtsy. So you can bring those hands to prayer pose or you can keep them lifted. So my weight again is evenly distributed front to back, side to side here. Showing some love to both legs at the same time, squeezing in. You'll really feel the adductor squeezing in here. Nice. See if you can drop a little bit lower. Good. I'm going to turn back on my mat. But on the inhale, bring that knee back up again. And then straighten the leg and bring it down behind you. And you're in warrior 3. Or I'm actually in airplane because I've got my hands on my side. My back lifted toe is pointing straight to the ground, just like we did in three-legged dog. So my hips are straight. The goal here is if I could put a tray of martinis on your back, they wouldn't spill. Don't spill the martinis or the margaritas or whatever it is that you've got balancing on your back. Breathing through this here. On the inhale, arms come up overhead as you look for the back of the mat and you're in crescent lunge. In crescent lunge, your back leg is straight, front leg is bent. Eventually you want to try to get low. Your knee is not out past the ankle there. Keep it stacked. I'm going to bend my back leg just as a modification for me. Take your pick. Traditional crescent does have a straight leg. I'm going to bend it today to just show some love for my lower back here. It's a little bit easier for me on my back. So I'm down into that lunge again. Breathing. I teach a hatha yoga style class, which means we hold our poses a little bit longer. If you've been in a class before where you kind of move on every breath, that's a vinyasa. I love a vinyasa, it's just not what I'm teaching today. But on the inhale, let's open up to the side. So you're now in temple pose. All right, so I know you might be tight here, even though we tried to open them up with our balancing pose. So I want you to take 3 kind of up downs. See if every time you come down, you get a little bit lower. I've got my arm in cactus. But what you're trying to avoid is if you look behind you, you really shouldn't see your posterior side sticking out. If you're doing that, you're going to see it when you turn around. Tuck it underneath you, then get low. Right, you're here. Let's take a couple of goalpost exercises for our rotator cuffs, our shoulders in the back. Just doing a couple of these exercises really helps engage the back of those shoulders. Nice. One more thing here. Come up, a little bit of relief, halfway up. Go back down. Keep those arms in a T this time. Tilt away from the top of the mat, so I'm at the back of the mat. Okay, good. I'm keeping the legs bent. If you have a block, this might be the time to use it because I know most of us aren't touching the ground here. This is a really intense pose. Whew. Good. Arms come back up to center. Shift those feet forward. I'm going to put my hands on my hips so my fingers are in the crease of my legs, using them to hinge the hips backwards, down into wide leg forward fold. Head comes to the top of the mat. Just let everything hang here. You can grab onto your heels or your ankles to help pull closer to the ground. Good. Begin to shift the weight towards the front of the mat. So both of my feet are now facing the top of my mat. You can actually keep your back toes out just a little bit. That way the heel touches the ground. And then sink forward into pyramid pose. Hands can even come underneath you for an alternative. One more balancing pose that we're going to do. We're going to move into standing splits. So on your inhale, you can begin to spin the front leg slightly to shift the weight forward. Back leg lifts, and I'm in standing splits. So I'm balancing on that front leg. Try to drop the head if you can. And the goal here is it's supposed to be a split. I'm not the picture perfect standing split. You can look it up online. But the goal is to get that leg high and open if you can. But if the leg is low, that's right where you need to be today. Good. Bring that lifted leg down so you're in forward fold. And then you can roll up the spine, walking up with your legs, however it works. Arms come up overhead. Good. Exhaling, resting in Tadasana, mountain pose. Awesome job. Let's do the other side. We'll arms lift overhead. On the inhale, exhaling into chair. Taking a quick peek down to make sure you can see your toes. Good. Inhale, This time standing and lifting the other leg so we can send that leg down around into our curtsy. Try to sit up straight here. You want to be leaning all your weight on the front leg. It should be kind of right in the middle, both legs bearing the weight. Arms in prayer position, or they can be lifted overhead. See if you can sink a little bit lower. Good. On the inhale, lift that leg again. The back leg comes up, and then straightening it comes behind you. Arms go behind you into warrior 3 or airplane. Good. Remember, you've got the tray on your back, so trying to keep that back nice and flat. Whoop. If you fall out of it, just get back in. It's not meant to be super easy here. Good. Arms lift overhead, sending the back leg to the back of the mat into crescent lunge. Remember, crescent lunge has a straight leg. You just bend down into it. I'm going to bend my back leg to take the weight off, the pressure off the lower back. Good. Just do your best to relax into this. On your inhale, you're going to lift and open towards the side of your mat. Both legs are open. My knees are tracking with my toes. Good. Let's do 3 movements here to open up the hips a little with each one. 2, halfway up, and then 3. See if you can sink down. Add your rotator cuff goalpost exercises here. Hopefully you're following along. Hold it here in temple pose. One more breath. Come up halfway, and then go back down with those arms in a T and tilt over to your back side. Good. Those hands come down in front of you, and you're now in a forward fold. I'll turn around. Maybe this time in forward fold, instead of sinking all the way down, we do another spinal distraction, which is keeping our hands to the mat if you can. You can also use a block if you're not down to the mat. But my hands are in front of me, and that way I can lengthen and straighten the spine here. So kind of like we did in the very beginning in child pose, where you're just trying to add distance between every vertebra of the spine. Good. And then now coming towards the top of the mat into pyramid pose. So my toes are both facing, my front toe is facing the top of the mat, back toe may be a little bit out, my heels down, and I'm sinking lower so that my head is aiming towards my shin. Last balancing pose of the sequence. Begin to bend the front knee slightly, shifting the weight towards the front of the mat, lifting the back leg, straightening the front leg into standing splits. Go ahead and raise that leg as best you can. This isn't meant to advance the pose. You can even grab onto the heel here, but maybe you save that for another day. Try to drop that head down. Last inhale. Exhale, bring the leg down to the mat into forward fold. Good. On the inhale, roll on up slowly into Tadasana. Awesome job. Good. How'd that feel? Hopefully you're hanging on there. I'm going to check my time, see how we're doing. Ooh, we got to start wrapping it up. There's a whole sequence I didn't get to. So let's do, we'll leave it at that. We won't flow through that today. I'm going to do one more quick series with you, and then we're going to relax it down into Shavasana. So grab your water, wipe away the sweat if you've got some. And we're just going to come down into forward fold and then find our way to the mat. I'm just going to roll over my feet here. Good. And then eventually come on down to your belly. So I'm going to do like a half push-up to get me to my belly. Good. arms come out into Sphinx pose like we did earlier in our practice. Enjoy this brief moment here. Then curl those toes under, lifting the hips. And so my knees are still on the ground, but I'm in kind of a plank here. So feel those abs engage and turn on. And then lift the heel or lift the knees if you can. So now you're in a forearm plank. So my arms are parallel, my hands are at the tops of my mat facing forward. Good. Now that you've mastered forearm plank, let's see if you can do forearm side plank. I'm going to shift my weight. I've separated my feet a little bit here. I'm going to shift my weight. I'm keeping my hands up, pointing to the top of the mat. Sometimes people want to bring their hand forward. That changes your shoulder placement. I prefer for you to keep your hand at the top of the mat. It keeps your shoulder open. So see if you can do a side plank here. I've got my feet separated. That's a modification. It makes it a little bit easier. You can even put the knee down if needed, or pull the foot like that. There's a couple different ways to modify. It's really important in yoga to develop this shoulder strength. I'm also feeling it fire here on my side body. Whew. Obliques are working. Awesome. Bring that lifted arm down. Rest for a minute in plank. Maybe you push back to a child's pose here, or a puppy. This is puppy dog actually with my hips up. Because you know we're doing the other side. So come on down. You can start in Sphinx. That's with my belly down, curling the feet, pressing up into that plank. And then when you've got your balance, shift on over to the side. My feet are separated. That helps modify just a bit. Working on our side planks here. One more inhale. Exhale, coming back down to center. Nice job. Bring those knees down. And we're actually just going to roll over onto our sits bones. One more type of plank to do, and that is an upward facing plank. So I'm going to put my hands so that my fingers are facing my hips. My knees are bent. And on the inhale, you're simply going to lift up the hips into a table. So kind of a reverse tabletop here. Good. So I have my head is neutral. Some people drop their head back, but I just don't feel that. It doesn't feel good to me. So I'm keeping it lifted. Exhale, bring the seat to the floor. We're going to do that one more time. You can do the same thing, or you can try straightening your leg for a full upward plank. Maybe try moving your hands out a little bit wider. That helps with your shoulders. So inhale, lifting up the hips. Again, working on, I don't know if I'm stretching the shoulders or working them or both at the same time, but I'm feeling it in my shoulders for sure. And my body is shaking. That's okay. It's telling me it's working. Exhale, come on down to the mat. Nice job. We're going to roll on all the way to our back here. For a similar pose, we're going to do bridge. I love this one. I do it almost every class, not because I'm not creative. It just means I love it so much. It's got such a great purpose. So my palms are on the mat. I'm going to use them for leverage. On the inhale, I'm going to lift up the hips, putting the weight into the shoulders, and while I'm squeezing the legs together at the same time in bridge pose. My chin is tucked, so my chin is nearly touching my chest. Every time I lift my hips a little bit more, my chin comes closer to my chest. So please, please, please don't look at me and crane your neck while you're doing this. Just listen to my cues. You really want to be looking straight up here, not craning your neck in this pose. One more inhale. See if you can lift a little bit more. On the exhale, slowly roll it down. Nice. Good. From here, lift one leg up into the sky, and then take that heel or take that ankle and place it on the knee that's on the ground. Now take that bent knee that's lifted and press it out to your mat so it's like perpendicular with your body. Good. And now lift up the base leg and pull it closer to your tummy. This is called thread the needle because my arms have gone up underneath what used to be the base leg, so I can pull it into my body. And I'm using this elbow here to press the knee out as my arm is threaded here. So hip opener, we didn't get to do a lot of hip openers today.
so we'll enjoy this one here. The hips like to tighten up, unfortunately, and it takes them a while to open up, so normally you want to hold these hip openers for a while to really get in there and try to loosen up those muscles. Great, so just exhale here, let that lifted foot come to the ground, but keep your cross. Now whatever leg is now your base leg, go ahead and drop it out to the side for a spinal twist. I still have my kind of leg connected position here. I'm sorry I didn't cue that up very well. Okay, so you've got a spinal twist. You can even let that top knee come down. And I'm going to look away from my legs, because when I look away from my legs, it completes the spinal twist. And just try to relax here. Good. On the inhale, bring it back to center. That lifted leg comes down to the ground. We're going to reverse it other side. So lift that other leg. The ankle comes to the knee. This bent knee, I'm going to press out to the side so that it's perpendicular. And then both hands are going to lift underneath this thigh so I can pull my legs to my body. Using my elbow to press out on that knee that's pointing out to the side. Really making sure now at this time that you slow down your breath by laying down. Hopefully that's helped you relax. We're in our final stages of class, really aiming towards that final relaxation. Okay, bring that base leg back down to the ground, keeping your twisted connection here, and then let those legs fall out to the side. Good. Arms come to a T. Head looks away from the legs. Just close your eyes here and enjoy this final spinal twist. On your inhale, the legs come back to center. Both feet to the ground, and then eventually stretching all the way out into Shavasana, which is our corpse pose. So you're lying down here, just relax, let your feet open up slightly, rolling away from the body. Hands are by your side, palms are facing up so that you rotate your shoulders out. Try to relax those shoulder blades underneath you. Maybe you need to move around so that your sits bones have plenty of space. And eventually moving on up your body so that your shoulder blades are comfortable. Eyes are closed. Jaw is slightly open to avoid clenching the teeth. And scan your body and become aware if there's anything that feels tight or uncomfortable, or if it's aching. Use your inhale and the exhale of your breath to send some comforting breath to that part of your body. And begin to notice how your toes feel heavy, falling into the ground. The ankles feel heavy, falling into the ground. The knees are heavy, falling into the ground. The hips are heavy, falling into the ground. The ribs are heavy, falling into the ground. The shoulders
are heavy, falling into the ground. The hands are heavy, falling into the ground. The neck is heavy, falling into the ground. The head is heavy, falling into the ground. The whole body is heavy, falling into the ground. Enjoy this final moment of quiet and relaxation. Begin to become aware again of your body here on the mat. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, inviting that life back into your body. Then take one final deep inhale, reaching your arms over your head, stretching your fingertips as far away from your toes as possible in one final stretch. And then on the exhale, begin to roll over to one side, bring the knees into the body, rolling over into that kind of fetal position on your side, using your base arm as a pillow. Thanking yourself for being here today. However your practice was, it's exactly what you needed. And pushing up, raising the body off the mat, and join me in one final easy pose here, keeping the eyes closed if you can. I'm in easy pose. Hands come to your knees. Eyes are closed, jaws slightly open. Your rib cage is over your hips, but lifted out of the hips. Shoulders are lifted out of the rib cage. And raise your arms overhead, and then bring them in, and then give yourself a big hug, wrapping your arms around yourself, showing some love to yourself and to your body, thanking your body for helping you make it through your class today. And then releasing the arms. Hands are in prayer position with the thumbs coming to the third eye center of the forehead. And thank you for making this practice for all of those who could not be with us here today for whatever reason. Hands come to your lips, open, representing open communication. Hands come to heart center, representing an open heart and compassion. The light and love in me salutes the light and love in all of you. Namaste. Take a bow. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed this practice. If you have any questions about anything we did today, I'm happy to answer any questions. You can leave me a comment here, send me a message on Facebook, follow my page, Balance and Beam Yoga Fitness. Happy to help you in your yoga journey in whatever way that I can. And if you want to continue with us on Saturday, 9 a.m., we'll take a slightly more advanced version of this. And look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.